Welcome to the Gauranga Darshan, Amit, Venkat, and all the guests here. I'd like to welcome you and Leader Society, which is the place which you are here. Uh, I wanted to start with a quick background of Artha, which is the actual uh, program which we are attending here. Artha is the brainchild of Rajesh Srivastava, something which is founded roughly 20 years back. And Artha is actively conducting a lot of programs, both in Singapore as well as the West. I think we have done programs in Silicon Valley, New York City, Dubai, etc. Singapore has been a very constant picture. I think we do it pretty much a couple of times a year, sometimes even more. The goal of our report is to bring the professionals, the entrepreneurs, and even mentors, leaders, to come to a forum where they can actually draw wisdom from a very subject. The motto or the goal of our forum is to earn with integrity and give with compassion. So that's been the center stage of our forum. We have companies who have been part of the Artha forum, I would say, umbrella, and who are committed to give some of their profits in the range of 10 to 50% over the years for any cause which they think is important to them. So Artha forum doesn't really dictate a specific cause or anything of that sort. But the idea is to draw from scriptures, from a Vedic wisdom, from the spiritual leaders who have been practicing the Vedic principles outside. So that's basically been the goal behind Artha forum. Rajiv has been very active and he has been making sure that both money who runs the chapter of Artha forum are very active, and we are not missing an opportunity to get some of the speakers or the leaders who are talking to conduct the program. So I think we all can remain connected. You can always reach, if you're coming here first time, you can reach out to me or Manish or others here, and you definitely make part of the regular group here. A bit about Gita Society. Gita Society, which is a society with the main focus on teaching or promoting the essential principles of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness in Singapore. We have various outreach programs. We have programs with the John Group. We have programs around Singapore. The focus of Gita Society is Bhagavad Gita. That's the name of the society. So we have this focus in Bhagavad Gita. We also have seminars. We also conduct celebration of some of our important festivals, both in the venue here as well as in the bigger venue. Again, we as scriptures in the tradition and the culture is as equally important as the philosophy. The Gita Society tries to promote both the philosophical aspects as well as the cultural aspect, which is so essential. So, and we have seen people who are quite big entrepreneurs, and they relish attending the marketing things as well, taking part in Kirtan and so that's another side of I would say of Gita in society. Again, I'll just wrap up on Artha forum. We had entrepreneurs like Dr. Andy Desai, who played in the design of the founder of our in the Kapal group. We have Rishikesh Mahaprasad, who is the chairman of Mahaprasad Group, Alfred Ford. We have other speakers who have been part of the electoral. We have Kate Lover, who's a member of House of Rep in US. And we're meeting the speakers who have taken our time. And today we have a same member, Amit Gupta here, who's also going to be part of the five-star chat. So we have been having this very successful leaders who have shared their reflections, their innovations, and their thoughts on how we ground our, I would say, entrepreneurial pursuits on something more objective, which defines us and creativity. So that's pretty much what I'm for. Today we have His Grace Gauranga Darshan, who has been a prolific preacher, a mentor, educator. He did his post-graduation from ISC Bangalore. A very eloquent and a very humble devotee who has been very, he has been, I won't use the word aggressive, but he has been very much driven to bring the message of my ancient scripture to various forums. Gauranga Darshan, he preaches all the way from the kids, like 5 years, to entrepreneurs, to the leaders. He has spoken at various forums, both educational institutes like IITs and others, and also at corporate institutes like Intel and other things. He has been traveling, he usually travels a few months in states, after he has been coming to Singapore for the last couple of years, and we look forward to be here and talk to we can. Today is speaking on a very relevant topic on leadership. So, a purposeful leadership is something which we often have our own conception. I remember once somebody asked me the definition of leader, and of course all of us had different answers. But the answer which was given to me was the leader is someone who follows. And what does he follow? He follows scripture, he follows higher truth. So I'm very sure this great God will actually emphasize what is the real, tenets of leadership, what is the fundamentals, and what should be the leader following. Even the leader has to follow someone. He's not absolute. And with the advent of AI, I think everybody can claim to be pretty clean and pretty. In fact, I think I run into people now who doesn't want to seek any advice, doesn't want to seek any guidance, because they think the GPT group will be perfect. But I have been using, and all of us have been using AI. Probably I've been using it aggressively, probably 7-8 hours of my day I spend on AI. And I have figured out that, first of all, it's not finished book. It is still at material as a machine. And it would still drive you in corners, it will still get you, it will, as you say, it has fundamentally, it will just be a yes man to you. So for you to have that objective assessment of what it is driving or taking you to will still be on you. So I think it's even more important, because I'm very sure that all of us will face this where the companies would be run by agents, right? They'll be like sold by companies. So this leadership perspective, which probably also would help us to know where really we can contribute as a leader, because the leader is a servant, as we all know. He's not just a leader. So with that, I'll invite His Grace, Gauranga Darshan, to come and speak to us, and then we have a few other things. Let's welcome Gauranga Darshan.
Thank you, Umesh ji. I am very grateful and honored to be amongst all of you today in this Artha Forum event. I thank Umesh ji for his generous introduction and telling us the background of GRS and Artha Forum. I thank the coordinators and the teammates of Artha Forum and GRS Gita Reading Society at Singapore for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on this beautiful topic, purposeful leadership. I also thank Rajiv Srivatsaji, who envisioned this forum, Artha Forum, and he also conducted some sessions in Govardhan Eco Village many years back with His Holiness Radhana Swami and His Grace Gauranga Das and many other leaders there. I was aware of this, but now I'm a part of this. I'm very happy to share my thoughts on this based on whatever understanding I have acquired from reading scriptures, learning from my spiritual teachers. I also thank Venkat ji and Amit Gupta ji. Thank you so much for being here. I thank each and every one of you, although I may not know your name. Still, I'm very grateful to all of you for being here. So I'll have a very quick presentation because Amit ji has planned to ask me so many questions. I said this, for me to answer all these questions, I may need a couple of hours. I cannot do justice in this half an hour or so. So let's see how it goes. We can only plan, we can only envision, but everything is not in our hands. So I was asked to speak on this beautiful topic, purposeful leadership. Whoever has framed this topic, I convey my gratitude to them for such a beautiful, eloquent title that conveys a lot, with a good caption, driving impact based on beyond profits. So let me share my thoughts. First, we need to, just 1 second. Let me share an incident that happened in my childhood. I was maybe 10 years old, maybe like this little girl sitting here, maybe smaller than that. So one day, it was Sunday, we had a holiday, and I was playing. Whole day I was playing on the streets. There's a little ground in front of our home. So all the children in our street used to come together. In those days, there were no big apartments within 30 floors. So it was like simple homes. So we were playing. So evening around 4:30, 5 o'clock, we welcome Rajiv ji. Thank you. Nice to see you. So I was playing whole day with my friends, and my mother called me in the evening around 5 o'clock and said, "You should immediately take a bath." I kind of guessed why she's calling me. I was so dirty, I was so shabby, so much of sweat, perspiration on my body, and the dress also became very dirty, hair is like disheveled. Now I don't have, but in those days I had. Right. Then my mother said, "Take a bath immediately." I said, "I cannot take a bath now. I must go and play." She insisted, "You must take a bath now." Then I said, no, let me leave. I have to play. My friends are also waiting. Then she said, "You look so dirty. Are you not ashamed?" And she brought in some comparison also. Some of your friends, they quit the play, they took a bath, they look so fresh, they wore fresh clothes, their hair is nicely combed. Are you not ashamed of going in front of them with this kind of shabby attire? I said, "Yes, Mom, I realized that. But I have another way of looking fresh without taking a bath. Give me that Pond's powder, I'll apply on my face so that I look fresh." And she became even more furious. She said, "No, if you apply powder on your face," now I don't apply, in those days I used to apply. "If you apply powder on your face, you may look fresh from a distance, but as soon as people come close to you, you will stink. So you're already stinky. You have a lot of sweat all over the body." So that statement made by my mother gave an important message. Many times, to impress the people of this world, we may put some makeup, we may put some smile externally on our face. They call it plastic smile. So the external appeal is very impressive, but internally there is some vacuum, shallow. It's like, shallow river. The shallow river may look very wide, but if you jump there, then your head will break because the depth is very less. Hardly 1 or 2 feet deep or maybe 3 feet deep. You cannot dive into it. Very shallow river. Similarly, let's not focus on externals. Let's focus on the inner substance. That's what I have learned from my mother. And my guru taught a very beautiful statement in connection with our Artha Forum discussions. You can find out how rich you are by counting all the things you have that money cannot buy. So if you're running behind only money or profits or expanding or followers nowadays, many times, nowadays social media, people are behind followers. Some people even create fake followers. They purchase followers. And okay, there are also some people who try to create content that is trendy and impressive to common people, and some people even lose their self-respect also to present an impressive content. Somehow I need likes and shares and comments and followers. Am I upholding my values and virtues and morals and principles? Some people don't even understand that. So, what brings beauty to life is not just the richness, the money, the number of dollars or cents that we have, or number of followers we have, but there is something much deeper, values within it. So we need to value that. So don't focus on the external appeal or numbers, let's focus on the substance. Now, with this too, what I have learned from my mother and my guru, let me just share. Let's rethink the definition of leadership. Many times, leaders, especially business leaders, they target good profits. Nothing wrong. That's required, definitely. But today, Artha Forum leaders asked me to contemplate on adding the purpose dimension to this profit, driving impact beyond profits. So purpose. Along with profits and purpose, we need people. Whatever we do involves people. So whatever we do, we can do it only with the assistance of people, and we do it for people. So people are there on the receiving end also, people are there to participate in this effort also, therefore people are very important. So we need to focus on the purpose to satisfy people and generate profits. So purpose is the North Star for sustainable success. So why purpose matters? Let me just give 4 pointers. There are hundreds of pointers, but let me just speak 4 pointers. Why purpose matters? Number 1, it builds trust and authenticity with stakeholders, isn't it? Second, unless people trust us, they cannot maintain a long-term relationship with us. So purpose attracts trust from stakeholders. Second, it engages your employees deeply. They need to commit to the purpose, not just let me do this activity, get my salary. They need to buy that purpose. They need to actually relate with that purpose. Then third point, purpose inspires meaningful innovation. Meaningful innovation means whenever we take new initiatives, whenever we generate new ideas and new thoughts, either through our natural intelligence or through ChatGPT or artificial intelligence, when we generate ideas. So the ideas must align with some purpose, right? So when we have a proper, clearly articulated purpose, the purpose can be different for different people, but when you have a clear purpose, then that can inspire meaningful and purposeful innovation. Then finally, purpose drives long-term sustainable growth. Only profits and numbers and figures cannot drive a sustainable growth. You may get growth, but how is the growth sustainable? When we create a legacy. Father has been a very wonderful leader, but if he doesn't create a proper successor, right? If he doesn't train his son, not only in terms of biological lineage, but for any purpose, for any project, we need one leader. The success of a leader, I would say, must be measured in terms of how many successors he or she has created. Let the legacy continue. If one person made so much followers, but he could not create so many leaders, then it's not really success. So success of a leader is not just in creating profits or creating followers, but creating leaders, future leaders. That's the success of a leader. Next, for this, let me just frame one simple statement. Purpose must lead, profits shall follow. Whether you understand everything that we discussed today or not, whether you remember everything that we discussed today or not, just remember this statement. Purpose must lead, profits shall follow. Right? And even if profits are going low, when you have a clearly articulated purpose, when you commit to that purpose, definitely, eventually growth will happen because you have a noble and sacred purpose. So for this, real leadership is proven when it produces leaders and not just results, right? We need to create a legacy, let it continue. In the spiritual line, the success of an acharya, a spiritual leader, a spiritual teacher, is measured in terms of how many successors the leader has created. Means let the parampara continue. In Sanskrit we call it parampara, where the spiritual lineage continues. Similarly, for any purpose, you have your business or whatever, your entrepreneurship, so let there be legacy. Let more people commit to your purpose. Let more people understand your purpose and be inspired to continue with the same purpose by upholding the values and virtues and morals and principles. Now, in the next maybe 20 minutes or so, I'll try to present a framework for a purposeful leadership. I presented this in the GBC college also in 6 hours, but I will try to squeeze it and give the essence of it in about 20 minutes now. Purpose in practice has 3 pillars. A purposeful leadership stands on 3 pillars. Number 1, personal character. Number 2, administrative capabilities. Number 3, interpersonal dealings. In shorter words, emotion, action, and interaction. Action is what we do. Interaction is how we deal with people. But our actions and interactions must be driven with a sacred and pure emotion. Yesterday I was sharing with them. They said action is A, interaction is AI. So that AI must be driven by E, emotion there. They are joking. So personal character is the inner anchor, and administrative capabilities, they drive our purpose in action. They show our purpose in action. Then internal personal dealings must reflect our purpose in relationships. Right? We need to have a good purpose driving our actions and interactions and emotions. Let's see these 3 points. First, personal character, the inner anchor. For each of these 3 broad pillars, let me give 5 pointers. There can be 50 pointers also, but I'll give just 5 pointers for you to reflect on. First, willingness to seek guidance. The leader should have a character, leader should have a conduct where the leader is inclined to seek guidance, inclined to take some inputs from others. It's not that whatever I decide is great. Now, Umeshji, when he was giving introduction, he said there are multiple definitions of leadership or leader, but a leader is a good follower. So we need to follow. For example, I am driving from here to some new destination. I don't know the way. If I am overly confident I can figure out the way, I may end up wasting time. So you can put Google Maps. What's the glory of putting a map there? What's the benefit of putting a map there? It will give you accurate path. It will calculate the optimal route to take you to the destination. And another important aspect of it is, even while you are traveling there, if you take a wrong turn, say left turn or right turn instead of going straight for some reason, then this maps will recalculate the optimal path and correct you. You may lose 2-3 minutes only. But if map is not there, if you are supposed to go in this direction, if you take this direction without maps, you will end up in a different destination only. I am not advertising Google Maps here. I am only emphasizing the importance of having good guidance. So every leader should have been a follower. Every guru also has a guru, right, guiding them. Actually, every good teacher has been a good student. Similarly, we need to be willing to seek guidance from others. That requires some humility. So humility and willingness to seek guidance and take training is one of the foremost qualities of a leader. Second point, we need to walk our talk. We need to set a good example. Leader must stand out amongst hundreds of followers. But if the leader doesn't keep up his words, doesn't stick to certain values or morals or principles or ethics, or the standards or policies or protocols that he himself has set, then followers will not be inspired to follow. So leader should set a good example. Third point, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, very beautiful point. A leader or a king or someone who has some influence or control over some people, they need to have self-control. If they focus on controlling others, and if they don't have self-control includes some sense control and mind control. If I don't have control over my words, if I don't have control over my actions, if I don't have control over my emotions or thoughts, then people lose respect for me. They can't see me as a leader. So self-control is very important. There's much more we can discuss about the self-control, but I leave it to you to meditate on it. Self-control. One aspect of self-control is selflessness. When a follower sees a leader being overly selfish, overly self-centric, self-obsessed, self-infatuated, self-absorbed, then they are not inspired to give their time and energy and emotions to such a leader. So we need to be selfless in guiding others, in leading others. Fourth point, responsibility versus detachment. Responsibility. When we take responsibility of something or someone or some project, consciously or unconsciously, we may be attached to its results. We may be attached to the way it is supposed to function. I have envisioned in this way, let me be leading this in this way only. Of course, I am not talking about genuine, sacred determination. I am talking about stubborn, egoistic attachment. Sometimes, in the name of responsibility, we may become overly attached to things that we do, to people that we lead, or to projects that we envision, or the results that we produce. We can have responsibility, but that responsibility must be balanced with detachment. But some people, they equate detachment with irresponsibility. Right? Responsibility is not attachment, and detachment is not irresponsibility. Let me give a simple example, basic example. I don't know much about business, but in general, in our day-to-day life. Say you go to airport, or a bus station, or railway station, right? It's your responsibility to keep your surroundings clean, right? That airport doesn't belong to you. You're sitting at a place on a seat. The seat has to be clean. That doesn't belong to you. You are not supposed to be attached with it. When you're leaving the airport, you can't take the seat and take it with you. But as long as you're sitting there, using that seat and using that surroundings, it's your responsibility to keep it clean. But you should be detached, right? Same thing with the world also, same thing with whatever we do also. Of course, with some star conditions apply. But our responsibility must be very nicely balanced with detachment, whether it is ideas or people or projects or whatever. And fifth point, integrity. Integrity means to do what is upheld by values and virtues and morals and principles. Even if nobody is watching me, I will stick to these virtues, stick to these values. I will not compromise on these values. Sometimes failure inspires some people to compromise on their integrity. And when people become successful, they may talk about integrity. But when they become a failure, they may compromise on integrity also. That's why one of the taglines of Artha Forum is earn with integrity, spend with compassion, right? So we need to earn, we need to generate profits, we need to lead people with integrity, right? That's honesty. So that's the first pillar, 5 aspects of first pillar. And second pillar is administrative capabilities. What was the first pillar? Emotion and basically character, personal character of the leaders. Second is the administrative capabilities. So this shows our purpose in action. Let's see. First, competency is required. Of course, I am only speaking. Let me ask you also to speak. I spoke about competency. A part of competency is doing some multitasking. I would say a leader should also have the capacity to do multiple things at a time. Right? He has to attend to the followers, their concerns, and he has to give some time to family. He has to take care of personal health. He has to keep himself entertained also to some degree. Multiple things. Apart from balancing whatever he's handling, sometimes he may have to do multiple things at a time. Before I go deep, I will ask you this question. Is multitasking okay or not? Should we do multitasking? Well, I'm speaking now. Next maybe 15 minutes or so, I'll have to speak. While I'm speaking, if I take my phone and check my WhatsApp messages also, multitasking. So will you feel comfortable if I do something else? So now you tell me, is multitasking good or not?
No.
Prabhu says no. Next, anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes. Venkatji says yes.
Multitasking is yes.
Hmm.
But when you do a task, that moment, this moment, involved in what you're doing. That
Okay.
means when you're doing something, don't think about something else.
So you can do multiple tasks, but one task at a time.
One task fully involved at a time.
Okay, good, good. Anything else? Any other perspectives on this? He says no. He says yes, but star conditions apply. Right? One task at a time. Basically, he didn't say okay for multitasking in one sense. Right? You need to focus on one task at a time. Correct? Anything else? Any other perspectives here? Okay. Did you ever have avocado milkshake? Did you ever have chiku milkshake? Apple milkshake? Did you ever have lemon milkshake? Huh? No one? He says yes. No, lemon milkshake. No. Why? Why can we mix apple and milk? Why can't we mix lemon and milk? Why can't you have lemon milkshake? Huh? You have this? They can't mix with each other. Even if you mix, that will create some other leelas in your belly, right? It will create some churning in your belly. So, we need to understand that we cannot mix some things together. Coming to multitasking, sometimes some tasks are compatible with each other, but some tasks are not compatible with each other. So you can mix some tasks that are compatible with each other, right? I can leave my laptop for charging while I'm speaking to you. I say, no, let me complete this, then I'll put it for charging. Sometimes some can be done parallelly. So that's how you need to optimize your time and save your time for some things which are very, very important for us. So one of the most important aspects of a leader or any human being is avyartha kalatvam. You know, it's a Sanskrit term. Means not wasting time. Whether you are a successful entrepreneur or struggling job seeker, employment seeker, we all have 24 hours only in a day. But successful people are those who utilize those 24 hours effectively. For that, sometimes we may have to club two compatible tasks and do them parallelly. If you ask a cook, there is a feast now, you need to make 10 items. He says, let me first boil rice. It may take 20 minutes. After that, I will cut potatoes. Then after that, I will start making potato sabji, then sweet, then papad. I mean, if he does it, he may take 6 hours to complete these 10 items. But as the rice is boiling, he can cut potato, right? As he is boiling the potatoes, he can just do choke for something else. He can fry papads. So an expert cook can cook 3-4 items parallelly without compromising on the taste or quality of any item. So that multitasking or competence is required on the part of a leader, right? Second point, vigilance and determination. So we cannot elaborate every point, but there may be so many obstacles in our path, but we need to move ahead with the determination. And we need to be very vigilant. That vigilance is required to detect the obstacles. If we don't detect the obstacles, if we are not vigilant, although we are determined, that determination will not take us anywhere. Determination is not just finishing the task, but also identifying what could be some impediments that may come on the way, what could be some obstacles. We need to detect them. And then with determination you continue. Don't feel discouraged or demotivated. Third point, a leader naturally leads several people. We need to ensure engagement and training to them. So if the people are not trained properly, if they are not sufficiently engaged in whatever activities that you give them, then people will lose their spirits to continue. So are they sufficiently engaged? Engagement is not just giving them some task to do. Engagement is a fulfilling engagement, a compatible engagement. Engage people in tasks that they can comfortably do, and if they are not comfortably doing, then try to train them properly. Sometimes people may want to contribute, but they are in a wrong place. They are unable to contribute in this area, but if you just change the department, they will be able to contribute better. So ensuring a fulfilling and compatible engagement and training them so that they feel that sense of contribution. Then fourth point, empowerment. Very, very important point. If a leader focuses only on engagement and doesn't focus on empowerment, then legacy cannot be created. What is empowerment? My spiritual teacher gave this definition. Entrusting employees with opportunities and appropriate independence and resources to execute their services happily and proficiently. It's not just engagement, some appropriate independence, some free will, some autonomy is given to the employees, to anyone who is working under you. If that freedom is not given, if we keep on micromanaging people, if we keep on supervising or policing people, if you don't give them sufficient scope to use their head and use their intelligence to take some decisions, then people will say, oh, he's operating, he's using his head, he just wants my hands. So people will continue with us only when their heads, hands and hearts are nourished. There's a difference between empowerment and delegation. Many times people equate empowerment and delegation. That's a problem. What is empowerment and what is delegation? Delegation means I take the decision and I entrust that responsibility of execution to you. That means I will use my head, you use your hand. Heart, where does it stay? Ignore it. I will use my head, you use my hand. That is delegation. Empowerment means I will help you, I will encourage you to use your head also to do this task. You take ownership for this. You take responsibility for this. You grow. Basically, the leaders should rejoice when the follower is growing. Not just engaging the follower, but also ensuring that the follower is growing internally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, intellectually. So don't just use their hands or efforts, but also try to take pleasure in their growth. But this is not good for you. Fine, maybe you can go there, you can relocate there, and you can flourish in that area better. So when employees or whoever is working with us or as a subordinate, we are supposed to care for them. We are supposed to show some concern for them. Not just using their abilities or time or efforts in achieving what we want to achieve, but also helping them achieve what they need to achieve at their level. So, not just delegation, but empowerment. Let their hands be used, but also let their heads, let their ideas also, let them get that intellectual satisfaction of solving a problem. Whenever a problem is there, you come to me. Of course, you have to solve their problems, but also enters that responsibility of solving the problem on their own also. Sometimes that autonomy, some autonomy has to be there. Of course, appropriate independence. Not that you empower somebody with so much of power and they are not capable of handling it. So assess their abilities and accordingly empower them. Next, last point, succession planning. And also experience-led guidance means, again, my spiritual teacher said, it's a violence to give guidance without experience. Sometimes a leader may think that I only have to take all the decisions. Say if the construction engineer comes with a plan, a big plan, architecture plan. Now he is expert in that architecture. You may be the leader, right? But you may not have so much of experience in architecture and construction. You need to respect and you need to value their knowledge and experience in that field. If we think that, okay, every decision I only have to take, you put bathroom in this direction, you put the conference room in this direction, you shift this first floor, you take this to 10th floor. You can give suggestions, but we should be willing and open to hear their perspectives also, right? And especially whenever we lack some experience in certain area, we should acknowledge that. Whenever they have some good experience in that area, we should acknowledge that also. But if we want to guide in every aspect, although we don't have much experience in it, then it creates violence and the people feel he doesn't know anything, and he's guiding, he's taking every decision. They feel a little dissatisfied if you don't acknowledge their maturity and experience in some field. And by the way, experience not necessarily mean hands-on experience only. Sometimes we have some knowledge. We saw something becoming successful, something becoming a failure, That seeing also can give us some experience, and we can share that experience. But we need to be open-minded. Without that open mind, it's very difficult for people to inspire the followers for a longer time. So we saw the second pillar. A leader's greatness is measured not by followers, but by the successor they nurture. We discussed it before. So we saw two pillars, emotion and action. Means personal conduct of a leader and the administrative capabilities of a leader. Last pillar is interpersonal dealings, interaction, relationships. Leadership is a selfless service, supposed to be a selfless service, and not an opportunity for self-aggrandizement or means to exercise control over others. Some control is required, but that control must be under the umbrella of care. If care becomes secondary and control becomes primary, then people become suffocated. Right? I'm controlling you, just like a parent controls the child. The child is going like this till that point. Very small child. Steps are there, child may fall. Immediately the parent has to control the movements of the child, bring him here. Okay, here there's enough space, we can move around here. Right? So the control must be subordinate to care. Now, first point in this is respect for seniors, juniors, and equals. We deal with three categories of people in our life. Whomever you meet in this entire world can be put in one of these three categories. First, they are superior to you, they are better to you, either in age or experience or position or in the leadership hierarchy. They are somehow better than you in skills or talents. Second, they are equally talented like you, equal in age, equal in position, etc. Third, juniors, they are younger than you. So our scriptures give us very good guidelines of how to deal with these three categories of people. Now you tell me, when you see a senior, how should you feel and how you should not feel? What are the right kinds of dealings with a senior, and what are some inappropriate kinds of dealings or thoughts that we can have when we meet a senior or someone who is better than us? Tell me, do's and don'ts of dealings with those who are more qualified than us. Have respect, yes.
We should not feel insecure.
Don't feel insecure. Oh, they are more successful than me. I'm not so successful. Insecurity. That's a don't, and this a do. Respect, and anything else? Take inspiration from them. Good. Next. Learn from them. Good. So whenever you see someone who is more qualified than us, then we should take inspiration from them. We should not feel insecure. We should not feel envious. We should not feel jealous. We should respect them, and we should learn from them. Similarly, whenever you see someone who is less qualified or less experienced than you in your field, how should be your dealings with them and how your dealing should not be? Yes?
Empathy.
Empathy, right? Right?
Don't feel proud.
Don't feel proud. Good. Empower them. Next. Recognize their good qualities also. They have some good qualities. Good. Yes. So whenever,
Ready to empower them.
ready to empower them. So whenever you see someone who is less qualified than you, don't oppress them, don't suppress them, don't dominate them, don't demean them, don't disrespect them, don't control, don't boss over them so much. And whenever you see such people, try to help them, train them, guide them, empower them. If they are not ready for an empowerment, at least train them. Give them some good guidance. Show compassion. Be kind. Yes, sir.
And also don't judge.
Don't judge.
Many times we feel that inferior, really superior people will come very simple and humble. We think that who are they? You would have dressed in coat and suit. Finally, they may be much bigger. So just try to see who they are, their what.
Correct. We should not judge them. We don't know what they will become in future. They may surpass us also. Third, when you say equal, someone who is equally qualified like you, equally talented, equally successful like you, how should you deal with them and how not? Don't be envious. Okay. Next. Learn. Okay.
Work together as a team.
Yes, work together as a team. So, what our ancient wisdom says is, befriend them and don't compete with them. make friendship and don't do spardha. Let me share an incident. When I was in 4th grade, I used to get second rank in English. And one boy used to get first rank. So once, he got 21.5 out of 25 in one unit test. I also got 21.5. Both of us are in first position. This boy felt very insecure. How can you reach me? How can you get equal marks like me? In those days, our teacher used to check our papers and give the answer scripts back to us so that we'll understand where we went wrong. So he took my answer sheet, checked it more scrutinizingly than my teacher did. He found a small mistake. He immediately rushed to our English teacher and said, "Madam, you have given half mark extra here." "Oh, correct. She has cut the half mark and my score is 21, his score is 21.5 out of 25. He felt so happy. Of course, if I am honest, I would directly go to the teacher and say, "This is an extra mark." So honesty we must maintain. But point is, sometimes there is some feeling of insecurity. Of course, I don't have anything against that boy. I don't know where he is also. Some 25, 30 years back it happened. But sometimes when someone comes equal to us, someone becomes equal to us, somehow we want to push them down. We are not comfortable. Sometimes some people are not comfortable with it. When they are little above, then we want to pull them down. When they are little below, we want to push them even more down. But if someone comes equal to us, especially when we are equally talented, more or less equally talented, we want to surpass them only. We want to supersede them only. We want to outsmart them only. If they come equal to us, we can't tolerate. Who is he? Sitting next to me on an equal chair. Put him in a lower pedestal. So when we are able to deal with seniors, juniors and equals in these ways that we have discussed and avoid those ways that we have discussed, then we'll have very good relationships with everyone. Diversity adds to beauty if there is harmony. We need less experienced people also, more experienced people also. Younger people may not have much experience, but they have more strength and energy to do things. They can execute things better. But older people, they may not be able to physically execute, but they have a lot of experience. So their experience and their energy will come together and produce something great. Therefore, we need to learn the art of coming together and cooperate with each other and respect harmony, respect beauty. Right? Second point about the interaction aspect. We need to control people, but it should be controlled control. We saw this little child assisted by his mother. Have you seen your mother's, maybe you must have forgotten, I also have forgotten. Have you seen any mother trying to teach her child walking? The child is very small, maybe 1-year-old baby or so. First, the mother keeps the child's feet on her feet and holds the two hands of the child with her hands, and with both her hands and both her feet, she walks backward to teach the child walk forward. Have you seen that happen? You must have done it with your kids also sometimes. After some time, mother doesn't support the child with her feet. She will only hold the hands, both hands of the child, and allow the child to walk with his own feet, and then she will walk backward or forward or whatever. After some time, the mother will hold only one hand. Let the child walk. He has to balance himself with his 2 feet and another hand, and I will just support one hand only. After some time, mother will not even do that. She will give one finger to the child. Now the child has to hold mother's finger. Till now, mother was holding child's hand. Now the child has to hold mother's finger. He needs to grow enough to understand that I need support of my mother to walk properly. So he has to hold, and mother gives that support, and the child walks. After some time, mother doesn't even do that also. She sits on the chair. Child is there. She will say, come here. She will only prompt the child. Please come here. She will encourage the child. When the child has to get up, he will just walk a few steps and then fall on his bottom. And again, mother will not come and pick up. Mother has the love and strength to pick up the child and keep the child in her lap, but she wouldn't do it. She will sit there only. She will only give encouragement, some prompts. then the child has to take support of the ground and get up and slowly walk towards the mother, and then mother will hug the child. Right? Leadership is also like parenting only. Just like a mother teaches a child how to walk, and mother doesn't micromanage the child. She is very careful about the child, but when the child is falling down because of taking wrong steps, every time mother will not correct. The child falls down, mother will not pick up. Child will say, get up, you correct yourself. You have made a mistake in walking, you have to correct yourself, get up and then you come to me. Right? So you need to give appropriate independence and appropriate autonomy to the child so that the child grows. Similarly, leadership also, if the leader only thinks in terms of how to utilize this person's talents for bringing success to my projects, people will feel, oh, I'm working, they're paying, that's our relation, nothing more than that. But if the people feel that this leader cares for me, like a mother, helps me grow and gives me appropriate independence and opportunities and guidance wherever I require, and gives me some autonomy wherever I can handle, then they will work with heart, not only with hands. Right? So, good relationships need not be restricted only to biological family members. We can have very good relationships with any individual with whom we are working, as much as our bandwidth allows. So we can have very good family ambience at workplace also. In fact, many individuals spend more time at workplace than at home. You know that? To make your workplace also feel like home, you need to have friendly relations with the members. Hierarchies are there. You need to acknowledge their hierarchy, experience, superiority, all that. But at the same time, we can still have very loving approach towards other people, and we should genuinely take pleasure in their growth and support them as much as they require. Third point, effective communication. Many times individuals fail in their efforts to communicate what they want to say. Communication is at multiple levels. It's not just vocabulary. It's not just articulating your emotions in right words. It's not just dictating your broken words to ChatGPT and asking it to refine and to proofread and polish the content. It's not just that. It comes from the heart. Even if your vocabulary is not so great, even if your English is not so great, communication can happen nicely if the intention is pure. So, communication requires a clarity in instruction. Second, sensitivity in correction. Third, honesty in appreciation. This is not ChatGPT generated, by the way. Right? This is based on experience. See, sometimes some superior may give us instruction. If the instruction is not clear, I get confused. What am I supposed to do? Say I worked so hard and gave that input, gave that product or result to the superior, then there is some mistake in it. They are supposed to acknowledge. Of course, mistake has to be corrected, but they are also supposed to acknowledge the effort that is already put in. If I don't get that acknowledgement of my effort, if I only get a very heavy dose of correction, then I'll feel disheartened to continue to serve. Right? So, correction has to be given, but it has to be with sensitivity. And honesty must be there in appreciation. Many times, many leaders fail for this one reason. You know why? They use the talents of the subordinates to attain success. They don't give them sufficient credit. They are not honest enough to acknowledge that effort and give them credit. They don't appreciate them for what they have done. They put all the effort into their bank account, their account. I have done this, I have done this. Of course, as a leader, you may have to represent the success of the whole firm or whole institution. But at the same time, if we are honest enough to express gratitude and express appreciation to someone who has actually put in a lot of effort, that will encourage them to work more. And it should come from heart, not a strategy. Appreciation or acknowledgement is not a strategy. It's not a technique. It's not done to be politically correct. It has to come from heart. When there is heartfelt appreciation, then people will extend oneself or Then fourth point, approachability and accessibility. Very important. Whenever they want to express something or ask something, we may not be accessible all the time, but we must be approachable. There's a difference between accessibility and approachability. You know, what is that? Can someone say? Why I said 2 points, approachability and accessibility. What's the difference? Yes.
I might be in office meeting, for example,
Hmm.
and let's say my kids want to approach me.
Hmm.
I may not be accessible at that time because I'm far away
Correct.
from meetings and all.
Yes.
But maybe they can still text me whenever I
Correct.
approach it.
Accessibility may not be possible always because there are time constraints. You have limited bandwidth. You may not be accessible all the while. Your subordinate wants to talk to you in Singapore. You may be in India at that time. You may be in US. So accessibility may not be there. But whenever you are accessible, you need to be approachable. Approachable means we should empathetically hear them, sympathetically hear them, kindly talk to them, interact with them. They should not feel so intimidated or scared to even approach us. Accessibility may be limited, but we should be approachable, right? Because everybody has only 24 hours, they have to do 100 things to do. Sometimes someone who wants to talk to you may have to wait for 1 day or 2 days or 10 days. That's understandable. But whenever they get an opportunity to talk to you, you should allow them to express themselves completely and properly. Don't interrupt. Before even they start their introduction, you bring the matter to conclusion, or you fire them, or you just give them some heavy feedback, or judge them, or don't hear them completely. They feel little disheartened. So we need to be approachable, right? We need to welcome any expressions of their feelings. Then fifth is empathy, and I already mentioned this. Empathy is covered in many points that we discussed before, and we need to have a well-wishing nature. We need to genuinely become their well-wishers. Then feedbacks are taken properly. So overall, I just discussed 3 pillars. Under each pillar, we have some 5 sub-points. That is action, interaction, and emotion. Personal character, administrative capabilities, and interpersonal dealings. If these 3 pillars are nicely taken care of, then there is that provides a very beautiful support for purposeful leadership. Then profits and purpose can lead to sustainable success. Profit is like oxygen for the business. You don't minimize its value. But purpose is the heartbeat of leadership. Purpose and profit, when they come together, then there is success. So there will be loyal customers, engaged employees, respected brands, enduring legacy, etc., etc. But one last point that I want to mention is purposeful leadership goes beyond usual KPIs, and leaders leave behind ripples of positive change. We need to leave behind ripples of positive change. Our success, our vision should not just end with us. It should continue. The legacy of a leader is defined by the leaders they leave behind. So we'll just conclude with this statement. The legacy of a leader is defined by the leaders they leave behind. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Gauranga Darshan, for a wonderful. It was pretty loaded, for a wonderful talk on a very important topic. So sometimes we say leader means someone who is running a company, maybe a director of a department, but we all are leaders in our own right. We are leaders at a scale of our team, we are in a way a leader at our home. So whatever we do back here, everything, the 3 pillars from the talk about emotion, action, and communication, play the purpose, and each of them we again further broke it down. I mean, there were so many takeaways. So we will have a recording on YouTube very soon, so feel free to refer back. So we're very grateful to Gauranga Darshan for wonderfully covering this topic. Now, since on the topic of leader, what would be more apt to bring someone who has been a leader, who has been a successful entrepreneur? I think Amit Gupta, who is going to be the one of the he started his first gig of first entrepreneurship venture at the age of 23. He went on and started Eagle sort of enterprises. He has been the global chairman of Thai. The Thai is an association of entrepreneurs. So he was actually a chairman of Thai globally for 2004. Currently, he's a co-founder, he's a founder and a chairman of a company called Ecosystem. As the name sounds, Ecosystem is meant to actually be advisory, a platform for entrepreneurs to come and grow. So he's the leader of leaders, he's the advising leader. On the Ecosystem Group has a series of companies which have acquired co-venture in Australia, and been serving Fortune 500 for many years. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but what strikes me was that Amit Gupta was the chairman of Thai, and Thai is actually a very prominent body which encourages, which brings entrepreneurs together. So it would be very much apt to have Amit here come further drill on this topic of leadership. Because while we were full with the series, we still have those follow-up questions. So we'll get Amit to kick it off with conversation. Can take the seat here. And so we'll have some questions from Amit first. And from there we'll get a question from the audience. So be prepared. I mean, if you have any questions, even with simple time, we'll just go for it.
Umesh, thank you so much. That was really, really generous. I'm just very fortunate. I have been very lucky to have great friends, great people that I work for, people who work for me, learn along the way. And today I'm here to learn as well. I'm very inspired by what you said. I think you saw the video taking pictures of your slides. I was hoping you could get the slides.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very valuable. There's a lot of core messages, things we deal with every day in our own professional lives, personal lives, you reflect on. So I think sometimes it's very important for us to take a pause, think about our own actions, what we're doing in learning along the way. But thank you so much for all the time you've given today. And I have prepared some questions. I mean, some I thought to do justice to the audience here, we must try and get the most out of your spiritual being, but also the practical side, and maybe touch on the engineer as well. So thank you for the opportunity. So maybe I'll start with my first question to you is going to be, obviously when we've spoken, you've mentioned you've always had a spiritual inclination and an upbringing, but you've also gone through school, university, one just like the rest of us. But when you talk about the connection between timeless wisdom and the demands of modern leadership, you make it very relatable. How do you personally bridge that gap for yourself? Maybe if you start with you.
They bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and
modern leadership.
Okay. So I have been living as a monk for the last 16 years. As far as the leadership is concerned, I have some little role as a leader within the ashram to lead Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth educational program. I was also playing a few more roles where I have to guide and lead a few individuals. So if you're asking about that experience, then I can share.
I think it's beyond that. I mean, even right now you're leading all of us, you're inspiring us, and you're channeling us in the right place. So I just want to let you understand how you personally do it for yourself, and then we'll get into some of the other pieces.
Yes. The spiritual principles, as we learn from the ancient texts, definitely bring out the good leader within us. And we have discussed several qualities of good leaders, But amongst all of them, what stands out to me the most is being a genuine well-wisher of someone whom we are leading. More than presenting a topic, more than sharing our knowledge or experience, if we become genuine well-wishers of people whom we are leading or guiding, that will benefit them the maximum, right? So the supreme leader is the supreme God, right? He has hundreds and thousands of qualities, Almighty, but amongst all of them, what stands out the most is our genuine well-wisher. Suhurdam Sarvabhutanam is our genuine well-wisher. The supreme leader of all living beings is having this quality of being a genuine, eternal well-wisher. If you can imbibe that quality, apart from all other administrative and other strategical ways of leading people, but we also need to cultivate that genuine intention to see them grow, see them be happy. So that's most important quality, which at least I value and I strive to imbibe. I don't say I have perfected it, but I definitely say I value it and aspire to imbibe it.
And as we look at where the world is going, and obviously technology is playing a big role as well. It's very evident that you are very much in touch with technology, and you have kind of been a techie at heart at some point. I don't know how many people here are aware that.
At hand, definitely.
Maybe it was the heart, hand and head. And maybe the heart was somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that a lot of people here who know that 20 years ago, Prabhuji was developing writing code for text-to-speech applications.
Yeah.
So I think he does know a thing or two on where the world is headed with AI, for sure. But I want to ask you, you're an engineer from Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. You had, a great initial start in technology and as an engineer. What was the turning point that made you shift from being, a technologist to a life of teaching and spiritual leadership?
So yes, as you said, I had a lot of exposure to technology. I think almost some 18 years back, I was working on speech recognition, speaker recognition, converting text to speech. Now we have speech to text also. I was also working on image processing. Signal processing involves image processing and speech processing and language processing. I was involved in all of that. I was also working on image processing, where one of my projects is content-based image retrieval. You give one image to the system, based on what's there in the image, the system will produce more images similar to that. That's what I was working many years back, but now technology has advanced so much. So, how and when and why did I make a shift from the technological background to this spirituality? If you say, I don't have one moment where I have taken the decision. It's an organic development of that inspiration over the years and over the decades. I must give the credit to my parents who had a lot of spiritual inclinations and who made my upbringing also filled with a lot of spiritual impressions. My father used to read Bhagavad Gita, recite Bhagavad Gita shlokas, and my mother used to do a lot of pujas. We used to live in a close to a temple, Lakshmi Narayan temple. And in our school also, my father specifically joined me in a school where this recitation of Bhagavad Gita shlokas is happening every day, and many other Vedic chants also. So the spiritual inclinations gradually build up within my heart. And of course, there were a lot of distractions also, especially in my teenage and college days. We were into movies and many other things, friends. But when I came to IISc, Indian Institute of Science, there one picture of Krishna, I would say it's a turning point if you want that. If you want me to share that moment, I would say when I saw a picture of Krishna in my college hostel, on the first day when I went to our college campus, that picture attracted me so much that I told the cleaning guy not to remove it. But by the time I finished my admission formalities and came back, he removed it. Searching for that picture, I went to ISKCON temple. And I was purchasing that picture, and the shopkeeper told, you take this book also, this picture is for you. So that's how the spiritual literature, along with Krishna's picture, came to my room. And seeing that someone thought I'm an ISKCON devotee, and introduced me to more devotees, and eventually I ended up in this hairstyle, this dressing style, after a couple of years. So the Lord has His own ways of pulling us. So, in short, answer to your question is, it's not just one moment, it's like organic exposure to spiritual culture and spiritual knowledge since childhood. And as far as committing to this path of spirituality is concerned, yes, that seeing that picture and seeing that book had an impact on my consciousness. But as far as becoming a monk is concerned, I must give credit to the whole ambience of ISKCON Chowpatty, Radha Gopinath Temple in Mumbai. Somehow I went there for training and Vaishnava Training Academy in 2008. And there I saw, closely I observed the life of a monk while reading Bhagavad Gita, while reading our scriptures. I was doing Bhakti Shastri course in those days, 2008. So reading this philosophy, books written by Srila Prabhupada, plus seeing the simplicity of monkhood right in front of my eyes, so all of it had some impact on me. I can't say one person or one moment or one event, overall impact that inspired me to become a monk. Thank you.
I think there's, it perhaps has something to do with obviously the upbringing, people around you that have catalyzed this journey as well. I want to ask another question, I think just because, we all have questions to things we know, but there are also things we don't know. And, you have written so many books and given discourse of thousands and thousands of hours. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions that people come up with, whether they want to learn new ways, whether they're struggling with something. Are there a few that you see as a common recurring theme that you think might help with the audience here as well?
One of the most common questions that I have heard and I have had also earlier and now also is how to control mind. This question was asked to me by little kids and teens, youth and grown-up individuals, married people or monks also. It's a common question. How to control the mind. Those who are already into path of spirituality, they are unable to control their mind while their meditation is going on, during their prayer, during their chanting. They are unable to control their mind. Mind is going here and there. Students are unable to focus on their studies, and professionals are unable to focus on their professional growth. They are getting sidetracked or distracted with so many things. So how to protect ourselves from all these distractions and allurements and temptations around, and control our minds and focus on our purpose? This has been a very, very common question that I have heard in multiple countries from multiple categories of people of different age groups and different backgrounds. You want only the question or answer also? Yeah, that's a common question. I hear the question.
No,
Yeah.
I'm radical to my own benefit.
Okay.
Just shifting gears to leadership and business, I think I think the reason everyone is here is that we're all aligned to similar values. And I can share from my experience. When I look at my day, and I do a bit of multitasking, but hopefully it's in a positive way.
Hopefully it's a mango milkshake.
Yeah.
And not lemon milkshake.
Hopefully. Or eating chai and samosa at the same time.
Okay.
And so, but I find personally, if I look at my life, I have a lot of life where I'm inspired by a lot of people who want to give back, and obviously I've been very involved with here in time, and tries the largest entrepreneur community in the world, and we're a give back community. And we all work very well together. We come with different backgrounds, different objectives, different behaviors, different approaches, but we all collectively give back with the anchor of our purpose to support entrepreneurs. And that works very well. Now, that is a volunteer part of my life. So when you see, if I look at my life, it breaks down into three areas, and innovation, impact, and investments. Now, when I look at my own life, what I enjoy the most is, of course, I enjoy my work, my business, and but what I get most fulfillment from is the work that I work at. It gives me no return except a lot of learning and a lot of self-fulfillment. So the question I have is, you've spoken on genuine success and lasting happiness. How should we redefine success? So, as we are looking at profits, we also are able to balance out the impact and fulfillment we want to see. Because sometimes you find that you are at crossroads because one will get compromised over the other.
And I must thank you for sharing your journey and your source of fulfillment. That re-emphasize this principle that satisfaction lies in selflessness more than selfish enjoyment. He said he has a lot of things to do, but time gives you a lot of fulfillment and inner happiness, satisfaction. So when we selflessly contribute to others' lives, when we selflessly work for the welfare of others, that gives us a lot of happiness and satisfaction. So thank you for sharing your experience. And regarding redefining success, I think you kind of answered the question very nicely with your own personal experience. Success is not in just accomplishing something. Generally, the dictionary definition of success is accomplishing a task, attaining a purpose. That's the dictionary definition of success. But a deeper perspective on success is it's not just completing a task or accomplishing some goal. While attaining that goal, how much am I upholding values, virtues, principles, morals, ethics? How much am I being kind to people? I may attain my goal, but on the way, if I have displeased some people, if I cause some inconvenience or pain to some people, that success will not ultimately give me joy. It will not give them also joy. But if I attain success in such a way that I am empathetic and sympathetic to people, and kind and compassionate to people, and also be selfless in encouraging them and valuing adding some value to their lives also, that fulfills their hearts, that fulfills our hearts also. One more thing is, another aspect of success apart from selflessness is maintaining humility. Generally in life, we are tested twice. Once, when we become successful. Second, when we become a failure. When we fail, we are tested for our consistency and determination. That failure should not disappoint me and discourage me and demotivate me so much that I stop continuing my effort on it. So failure tests for our consistency and determination, and success tests for our humility. When I become successful in attaining my goals, is that success bringing a lot of pride and arrogance in me? Then it's not success. What kind of success it is when success makes me look down upon people who are not as successful as me, feeling that sense of superiority complex and pride? What is that success when I am not grateful to someone who helped me and assisted me in attaining that success? So real success accompanies with humility, gratitude, compassion, and not with pride or envy or other things. So success is in selflessness,
success is also in recognizing others' contribution for our success and being grateful to them, and also in being humble, because humility and gratitude are inseparable. If I'm not humble, I can't be grateful to someone who helped me. Yeah. I can't acknowledge their contribution. So I think let me summarize the definition of success in 3 words: grateful, selfless, and humble. Humility, gratitude, and selflessness. Apart from accomplishing the goal.
Yes, of course, of course. No, I think that's so beautifully put. We are looking at the studio, so we hopefully be able to review this again. You talked about resilience, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself. We have a lot of friends in the room who are entrepreneurs or business leaders. It's not really just to entrepreneurs. We all deal with stress, anger, burnout as we go through the ups and downs and all the undulations of success and failure. Those are not milestone events. There's some that we face every day. And I think the Bhagavad Gita has so much practical learning that it brings for people to adopt and embrace. What are some of the core teachings you think that can help us build that resilience, but also that inner balance? Because you started this life with learning from your mother, and you referenced inner purity, inner balance, and so there is a whole aspect of who you are that you cannot change. You can fight the rest of the world, but you can't change yourself. So what do you think are some of those learnings?
Some of the core teachings of Bhagavad Gita. There are so many such beautiful teachings of Bhagavad Gita, but one thing that I can share at this moment is tolerance that eventually becomes equanimity. In the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches us to tolerate the inevitable appearance of happiness and distress. Happiness comes and goes. Distress comes and goes. Just like summer comes and goes and winter comes and goes. Similarly, happiness and distress are all the dualities: success, failure, happiness, distress, and victory, defeat. All these are transient aspects of life. In short, they are called dvandva or dualities. They don't have permanent effect on us. When we understand the transient natures of pleasures and pains in this world, transient nature of success and failure in this world, transient and temporary nature of victory and defeat in this world, we can tolerate them easily. But it's tolerating distress. Okay? Know that this too shall pass and tolerate it. But what about tolerating happiness? Tolerating happiness is sometimes the happiness that we derive in becoming successful could turn into confidence, overconfidence, pride, and arrogance. So tolerating happiness basically means not allowing our happiness to become pride and arrogance. You rejoice. You enjoy your success, be happy, no problem. But understand, this also may not last for a long time. Not that you fail to rejoice that moment, but don't be overly puffed up or become very proud of becoming successful and being happy, but also balance it with a deeper understanding of the philosophical aspect of life. Right? So this is tolerating happiness and distress. But another teaching that I appreciate a lot in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna speaks about equanimity. Right after this sloka, I am quoting from 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 14th sloka I just quoted. Tolerating happiness and distress comes from Bhagavad Gita 2.14. Sitoshna sukha dukkha agama payino nityaha tamsti tikshasva bharata. Tikshas tolerance. But right in the next sloka, 15th sloka, Krishna says, he teaches us the art of seeing happiness and distress equally. At the tolerance level, you understand their difference, but you learn to tolerate. But at equanimity level, you don't even perceive the difference, both are same one. Sama dukkha sukham dhiram somrtatvaya kalpate. Sama dukkha sukham dhiram. A dhira, a sober person, a wise person is someone who sees happiness and distress on an equal plane. Now, it may not make much sense intellectually or rationally at this moment, but let me share one little personal experience in 2 minutes to convey this point. One day, I was going to the airport, Mumbai airport. On the way, there is heavy traffic, super heavy traffic. We have junction, Gauranga Junction. There, traffic gets stuck so much. Then car stopped. There are hundreds of cars in front of us. I opened my laptop and started working. Half an hour passed. I asked the driver, how long? He said 2 hours. Prabhu. And he showed me the map, which is very thick. And he also added one point. It may say 2 hours. It can become 4 hours also. It's thick red. You don't know. Gauranga traffic is very difficult to clear up so easily. Then I thought I will miss the flight. I took my luggage, got down from the car, and walked with my luggage for almost a kilometer, crossed the road, walked, found an auto rickshaw. Told him to take me to the nearest railway station. So I went to Vasai railway station. I don't know Mumbai. So I went, you know? Okay. I went to the railway station, caught the train, and in half an hour, fast local train, half an hour I got down, at Andheri, took another rickshaw, went to airport. Like, barely I could catch my flight. I sat next to the window seat, and the airplane slowly started rising high into the sky. As the airplane is rising, I could see through the window all the roads, all the buses and cars and red signals and green signals and big skyscrapers, very tiny. Sometime back, maybe an hour back or 1.5 hours back, I was on those roads. On that road, red signal gave a lot of anxiety and distress. And green signal would give a lot of happiness. I was waiting for the green signal. And red signal gave a lot of distress. But now when I'm sitting in the airplane, does the red signal give you any distress? No. Does the green signal give any relevance to me? No. Because I'm on a different plane, airplane, from where this red signal of distress and green signal of happiness are of no relevance to me anymore. Both are equal to me. Equanimity plane. So basically, in short, the summary of all this discussion is, when you're in a material plane, you need to learn the art of tolerating happiness and distress, knowing that they are temporary phases. But when you raise your consciousness to spiritual plane, there you will not even differentiate between happiness and distress only. Both are same. Ultimately, both have no relevance to the spirit soul. So these two teachings are very dear to my heart: tolerance and equanimity. And raise our consciousness to spiritual plane, where you see all material happiness and material distress on an equal plane. Does it make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Making it a very personal story. We can deal with our situation, whether at work or in our personal lives. There are people that you cannot choose what you work with. And I think the most I find that people get distressed or feel let down is the expectations they have of people. What is the practical way of dealing with that, to be able to navigate that without letting it get to you?
Definitely, expectations can lead to frustration. But we cannot live life without expectations. But how to deal with the situation? Make your expectations reasonable and not unreasonable. What is a reasonable expectation? What is unreasonable expectation? Let me just elaborate. Say, I expect from this friend some kind of physical support or emotional support or some kind of help when I'm stuck in something. If he's unable to do it, I get frustrated because I was expecting. But if I don't expect only from him, if I think that I only have to solve my problem, I may not get support. Still, if he comes and gives me little support, then I become grateful to him. So, undue expectations that people should understand me, help me, or support me in various ways. That undue and unreasonable expectations that we have from others, they can lead to frustration. But if we adjust our expectations and keep them minimal, then we can be grateful for whatever help we receive. Earlier expecting this much help, he did not do anything, I am frustrated. Later he gave me this help on, this much help only, but I am grateful to him. Right? Why? What's the difference between the first case and the second case? Adjusting expectation. Right? Sometimes we have to expect, for example, you go to a restaurant, you order pizza, and you expect the pizza to come in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or half an hour, something like that. But if 1 hour passed and 2 hours passed, he's not getting pizza, you can't say, I should not have the expectations from people. That doesn't work. So keep your expectations reasonable and limited. Then either expectations from yourself or others. That does not mean I'm compromising on success or having some determination to attain some goal. That should be there. But when expectations cross certain limits, ambitions cross certain limits, what could happen is we may consciously or unconsciously end up troubling ourselves or troubling other people. Without troubling ourselves or other people, if we can fulfill your expectations without compromising your health or relationships or without losing balance of your overall life, then good. Have expectations from yourself or others and then reach great goals. But when expectations are compromising on relationships, leading to frustration, then such expectations are unreasonable. And what is reasonable for someone could be different from others. A reasonable expectation on my part could be an unreasonable expectation on your part. It's the other way around also. So we need to have some rational understanding of what expectation is reasonable and what is unreasonable. And when you regulate the expectations, then there is no frustration, there is gratitude, there is happiness.
Gratitude and happiness. Now, when you put this in the context of our teams, when we are working with people, and I think you shared a number of very critical areas for us to look at. My one question to you would be, when leaders are giving feedback to their teams, or their colleagues, or perhaps people who work for them, how do they make that feedback effective rather than critical?
How to make feedback effective rather than critical? A short answer is make the feedback more futuristic than commenting on the past. Instead of telling people where they have failed, tell them how they can be right in future. But many times feedbacks fail because we focus a lot on how they have failed in the past, what mistakes they have done in the past, instead of helping them and supporting them and how to improve in future. When we focus too much on the past, of course some discussion about the past has to happen, no doubt. But at the same time, if the discussion is 95% or 100% of the past only, you are useless, you are good for nothing, you have done this mistake, you do it repeatedly. If we keep on giving feedback in a more critical manner, that criticism makes the feedback giver and feedback receiver also uncomfortable. It becomes very austere for people to be in such an ambience. It creates a lot of negative and toxic atmosphere in the room, in the meeting room. But if we come together and say, okay, we failed here, and the discussion about the failure is for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, and for the next 1 hour, we discuss about how to improve, how not to repeat the same mistake, what strategies we need to employ, what steps we can take to make it better. So if we give that whole feedback session a futuristic perspective and discuss about what positive things can happen in future than what negative things had happened in the past, then it will make the whole feedback session more comfortable for both parties. But of course, there are some individuals who may not get it, even if you try to give the feedback in the most effective manner also, focusing on the future only, acknowledging their contributions, and not being negative. You tried your best, still they are unable to accept it. Then probably they need more training. They need to develop their rational side or even their, values or skills little more. So you need to invest on people in a different way. Now they are not yet fit for this job or this activity or to participate in this project. So leader also has to differentiate between different individuals who is fit for this and who is not fit for this. Not that we want to judge them or label them or criticize them or demean them, but we have to assess the values, assess their talents and skills, whether the talents and skills and experience is compatible with this project or not. That much judgment we should have, right? It's a reasonable judgment, not unreasonable judgment. We don't judge their character, we don't judge their personality, but we are judging only their skill. That much should be there. In this context, because you asked about feedback, let me give 4 types of or 4 combinations of feedback givers and feedback takers. I am giving feedback, someone is receiving it, right? The giver should have certain nature and the receiver should have certain nature. One thing about feedback giver is he should focus on the future, he should help them do right, not proving them wrong, etc. We discussed already. And another aspect is, as we discussed in the presentation, the feedback giver should also be a genuine well-wisher. The feedback giver should actually rejoice seeing the feedback receiver grow in life. As soon as they understand and as soon as they are convinced that, oh, this person is giving this feedback for my benefit, he is my well-wisher, he cares for me, he is concerned about me, then they will receive very nicely. So, these are some good qualities of the feedback giver. Then, when we are in the receiving end of feedback, even if the other person has malicious intention in giving us feedback, we should not fail to notice some good aspect of it. So when they are giving feedback, maybe there is some point in it. So we need to intellectually and rationally understand, is this feedback helps my work or not? So that we need to see the essence. If they are harsh, you ignore the harshness, take the point. That's on the receiving end. So there's a long description about feedback receiver and feedback giver, but the 4 combinations I promised was good combination, good combination, bad combination, bad combination. Feedback giver is good. He's giving you good intention. But feedback receiver is not good. Just like, Vibhishan, in Ramayana, he gave good feedback to Ravana. He was not receiving one. Right? So good means feedback giver is good, feedback receiver is also good. Then they both don't destroy the relation, disrupt the relation, but they will improve their performance. But good-bad means the giver is good, but receiver is not bad, not good. Bad-good is the giver of feedback is giving with a malicious intention to push them down or discourage them, but the receiver is seeing a point in the feedback and working on it and improving. Bad-good is the worst combination. Where the giver of feedback is having some bad intentions, trying to prove them wrong, and the receiver also is very arrogant and egoistic, not receiving. So we find all kinds of combinations in our day-to-day life. But what we can do is, when I'm a feedback giver, let me be good feedback giver. When I'm a receiver, let me be good feedback receiver. At least we work on ourselves. And if you are leading someplace, try to share this with others and try to inspire them to be good feedback receivers and givers, so that we have such combinations in a institution or a society. Does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's very well put, Prabhuji. You've been praised by a lot of leaders yourself. Leaders like Albert Ford, Jay Shetty, and Jay Shetty has been very closely associated with you as well. But what do you think makes your message resonate across generations, not just business leaders, but the younger generation as well? Why do you think that is?
Because this is not my message. This message is coming from an authentic source. I just repeat what I have learned from my spiritual teachers and ancient sages and ultimately the Supreme Lord. whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scripture that I take, that has been given to us by the Lord. It has been explained to us by so many acharyas. What I do is learn from there and repeat it. So that repetition has authenticity, right? If there is no authenticity, it's a disservice. But if there's authenticity, of course, we can package it in a form that is appealing to people, interesting, relatable, and digestible to people. The packaging part we may have to play according to the changing generations and times, but the seed has to be retained, right? Some medicines are in capsules, some are in the form of liquid injections, some are in other forms, but medicine will not change. Packaging can change, it can take multiple forms. So I just transfer the credit of whatever appreciation that we receive to my teachers, my parents, or my spiritual gurus and acharyas. I'm just a humble instrument. Sometimes I feel that I am not being very effective in transparently transmitting because of lack of certain skills. But whatever credit is there, whatever appreciation we receive, I just humbly transfer to them. And nothing.
I think you are a lesson in humility. As I was watching your presentation probably, I was just thinking, if I could have that, you mentioned when you did the session, there were 6 hours. And I was just thinking, if I could have taken that session to my leadership team and have them go through it rather than, the typical leadership coaches that they experience, I think it would be very powerful. Have you considered whether there is a role, given that spirituality has to play a role in shaping the world, where we are getting into some pretty turbulent waters at the moment. The world is not, I think we're fortunate that people in general by default are good, and which is why the world is navigating through all the turmoil we're going through, and hopefully that's temporary, right? Whether it's the leadership, the geopolitics, there is no social divide, climate change, but then AI is going to play a very big role in shaping the world. It will, and some of it will be negative. Hopefully, a lot of it will also be positive and additive. Spirituality is going to help us navigate it, and we're seeing that more and more. Do you think there is a role, and this is maybe, and then I'll open up to the floor, maybe a question that people might have as well, and maybe someone in the audience might want to answer it as well. Like when I look at my board of directors or an advisory board, should we have someone of your authenticity, your spirituality, your being on it that can help us navigate this forward?
In the ancient ages, every king, every leader, every ruler used to have a spiritual guide. All the prominent emperors in the ancient India, anyway, they had some brahmanas or some spiritually evolved people guiding them, giving them guidance. And they also give guidance without expecting anything in return. They share their knowledge, right? They share their knowledge and experience with authenticity and without any expectations in return. Such pure knowledge actually guides not just one or two individuals but generations. We are still taking benefit of that ancient wisdom. So if institutions or firms are open to have spiritual guides, then that's a wonderful way of transforming the world, right? Authentic, selfless guidance coming from bona fide sources will shape the world much better. So definitely, we need to have spiritual guides.
And you've given me a lot of things work, and I think I would want to discuss with all of my friends and associates here. There is something there. But I'd like to open up for any questions from the audience. If anyone.
One, two.
Hare Krishna.
Right.
not personally, but you talked about controlling mind. So would you like to share a few techniques for us?
He asked about the question, common question. I shared the question. She wants answer. Wherever the mind wanders, we need to pull it back. This is what Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalamastiram tatastato niyam ekat atmanyeva vasham nayet. Wherever the mind wanders, try to pull it back. Try to pull it back. Of course, after 5 minutes again it will go away. Maybe in 2 minutes only it may go away. Again pull it back. Again pull it back. This is called practice. In Sanskrit it is called abhyasa. Bhagavad Gita gives 2 ways of controlling the mind. One is abhyasa, second is vairagya. Abhyasa is practice. Keep on practicing to pull the mind back whenever it wanders. Allow the mind to focus on the purpose. If you become lenient with the mind and allow it to wander away from your purpose, it will not become lenient with you and come back whenever you need. Right? You give some liberty to the mind, it goes somewhere, and I allow you to go somewhere, right? Please come back. I will not come back. I will be there also. I will pull you also there. Sometimes mind goes, then physically we also go there. Right? So if you are lenient with the mind, mind will not be lenient with you. Mind will be very strict with you. You have to follow the mind. So abhyasa means whenever the mind wanders, try to pull it back. Try to pull it back. Then vairagya means develop some detachment. What is detachment? Detachment from the distraction. Say you are studying, if you are a student, you are studying your physics subject. Then you read one paragraph. Suddenly Instagram notification came. You saw it. You checked few more reels. Apart from that notification, 10 minutes are gone. You kept it aside and you studied the second paragraph. By this time you forgot the first paragraph, right? So you studied the second paragraph, right? Then Facebook notification came. You saw it. 2-3 minutes gone. Again you focused on it. Then you read the third paragraph. By the time you forgot the first 2 paragraphs. Then after some time, after 5 minutes of reading 3-4 paragraphs, you didn't get any notification, any message. Your phone did not ring or vibrate. Still you pick it up. Because there is insecurity. How can I not get any message for 5 minutes continuously? Is the Wi-Fi working? Is the mobile data working? Is the signal working? So we are so accustomed to getting distracted. Even in the presence of distraction, we get distracted. Even in the absence of distraction, we get distracted many times. Because some distractions are external, some are internal. And internal distractions are more dangerous than external distractions. Because even in the absence of external distractions, our internal mind will distract us. So, Krishna's solution is be detached from the distraction. So, maintain some detachment. Okay, I have allocated 1 hour to study this book. So, let this 1 hour, let the phone be in mute or silent or whatever. If there's an emergency, of course, you should pick it up. But at the same time, if it's interfering with your activity, please keep it aside. Maybe keep it in the next room and then work here. Right? So, abhyasa and vairagya. Practice to bring the mind back and be detached from the distracting object.
Krishna, thank you so much. I think each and every point can have a separate class for the topics mentioned. What I'm going to ask is not a genuine question, but I just try to share the bits of thoughts and reactions to the outside world discussion, and maybe you can help us to reconcile whether it makes sense or not. So you shared that ancient wisdom is something which is the the root for all the happiness and peacefulness in our life and society. At the same time, by practicing Bhagavad Gita for years, what I have faced as a challenge when we try to interact with people in general, they have a lot of problems. Like if you see the social media with parenting problem, job problem, temperament problem, mental health problem, all of this one, right? When you try to articulate them that, these readings, this wisdom, this spiritual knowledge has a solution, then they say that they know it all. So they know it all and they know what is going on. So how to reconcile this dilemma and duality? when we try to talk to people in general, they have a lot of problems. When we try to bring them to the place that they have a solution, they kind of think they don't need it, they are good, they are all right. And there are some scholarly people who will say, you know what, this is Kali-yuga. So anyway, things will get degraded over the time, so no point in doing all that bhakti. This is not pure form of, practicing devotion and all. So we are, in the guidance of the people like you, we are not confused, but how to feel motivated to make others realize that what a bliss of knowledge and the practice is.
As you said, when you try to convey this authentic message to people, they say we already know it.
Yeah.
They may not subscribe to the path or whatever. Problem is not with lack of knowledge. Problem is with lack of application. Many people who have so much knowledge will not put that knowledge into practice, will not apply it. That lack of application is the biggest problem. Knowledge, anybody can get it. Nowadays, all these ancient texts also, complete texts are available on different websites, along with their transliteration and meanings and all that. Earlier we don't have access to so much knowledge. It's very rare. Olden days, maybe a few centuries back, great sages used to write all these ancient texts in scrolls, these palm leaves. They have to take this wooden pen or something like that and etch the letters on the leaves. If someone wants a copy, then they have to copy the whole thing with hand. That's how you can generate another copy. But now there is printing press, there is soft copy. All books are there in your pocket in the form of phone. So access to knowledge is very, very much nowadays in 2020 to technology, thanks to technology. And they're in multiple forms. And now this AI is generating summaries. You read this book and generate a summary, 1 or 2 page summary. So access to knowledge is so much, but inspiration to access that knowledge and inspiration to apply that knowledge is very meager. Why? Distractions are so many. Too many distractions. Information overload, but there is no, information is not turning into transformation or application. A lot of distraction. So, as you also mentioned one more thing, that some scholars say this is Kali-yuga, it's bound to happen like this. Yeah. It may be true, but the reality is, in monsoon, rain falls everywhere, isn't it? But anyways, rain is coming everywhere, let me be drenched. Is that a good idea? Take an umbrella. You cannot stop the rain, but you can take an umbrella to protect yourself from the rain. Similarly, you cannot stop the degradation of Kali-yuga, but you can always take an umbrella of ancient wisdom and protect at least few people. Right? So we need to motivate ourselves to share that wisdom. In sharing the wisdom selflessly, whatever we receive from authentic sources, and we selflessly share it in forms that are relatable, digestible, and applicable and actionable to people, we get connected to the wisdom more deeply. In sharing, we internalize it more, we observe it more. Right? So another thing is, it's not just their problem. Why they are not accessing the spiritual wisdom, although it is available. Probably the problem is with the presentation also. Let's not blame them only. Probably we have not come up with sufficient innovative ways to make this wisdom more accessible and relatable to them. Try to give them right examples and anecdotes and package in such a way that it's appealing to them. Right? It could be in the form of text or audio or video or animation or whatever it is. Try to make the authentic message accessible to people and in a format that they can relate with. Therefore, we need to be a little more innovative in our ways to reach out to common masses with this ancient wisdom. For that, we need to come together, deliberate, and use even these modern tools, technological tools, to convey the message in a much better way, right? Using such examples and anecdotes and analogies that they can relate with their day-to-day life. Sometimes I see parents blaming their kids. My kid is not reading these scriptures, this and that. No, have you explained it in a way that they can understand, that they can apply? Unless they find it relevant, how can they access it? When they have independence, they will reject it because they are not finding any relevance there. We have to make it relevant. We have to present it in such a way that it becomes relevant to them.
We should take one last one. The two questions I think is just rapid.
Thank you for all our answers. And how to inspire the lazy people? We feel almost 40-50% lazy people. Whatever you say.
40-50 only. Inspiring lazy people is not easy. But it's not impossible also. But the reality is, unless the individual understands the importance of something, they will not accept it. You can inspire, you cannot impose. You can lovingly push, but you cannot aggressively force. So, they need to prioritize that I need to come out of this laziness. For that, one way is you set a good example. Right in front of their eyes, if you are not lazy, if you are disciplined, if you are determined, if you are very regulated, then seeing you, they may get inspired. Apart from teaching them, apart from preaching them, apart from giving them knowledge, we need to set an example. Example screams in their eyes and hearts, ears and hearts, much louder than your words. Right? Many people, they learn less from hearing and more from seeing. Of course, hearing has its role, very important. That's the first step in spirituality, also hearing. But at the same time, seeing a good example matters a lot. We need to set a good example for people. All lessons are not taught. Many of them are caught. Right? Lessons are not taught, they are caught. So for them to catch lessons, your behavior, your conduct, your interaction with them should generate that lessons. Not verbally, but seeing your example, they should learn their lessons. Oh, he is so regulated. Last 10 days I'm observing him. He gets up early in the morning. He studies nicely. He does his work nicely. He deals with people gently. So that example inspires people. And oftentimes people don't subscribe to knowledge or good wisdom because they are not seeing good example. They say so much, they give so much of gnan, but when it comes to their practical behavior, it's not inspiring at all. In fact, people can't even accept good knowledge, even if it is accessible, when they don't see good examples. They lose faith, they lose trust. So apart from giving them knowledge, we need to also set a good example.
We take one last
I have one question. It's my personal opinion, does not have to be applicable to everyone. But in my opinion, leadership and ego are directly proportional. How does one make it inwardly proportional?
Directly proportional.
Directly proportional. I feel like leadership.
Means every leader is egoistic.
That's what I said.
Okay.
It's my personal opinion. It's not every leader. But I think when we are leading, sometimes ego kind of takes, precedence. We feel because we're leaders, we are authorized to do certain things, which probably comes from basic ego. How does one dissolve it, or how does one just kind of not bring ego in leadership?
A leader can be called a leader only when he or she has some followers. So, the leader's identity as a leader is dependent on the existence of followers. But if the followers leave him or her, he cannot be leader. So, knowing that they have to be humble. Right? My existence depends on them. My designation as a quote unquote leader is dependent on these followers. How can I be arrogant with them? Right? So, nobody is independent in this world. Except the Supreme Almighty Lord, nobody is independent in this world. A leader is dependent on the followers. To be called as a leader, to be identified as leader. A teacher must have some student to teach. I am teaching. Whom? Nobody. What is teaching? How can he be called as a teacher? Teacher should have student. Student should have teacher. How can someone claim himself or herself as a student? Only when they are learning something. If you are not learning from any teacher, how can you be a student? If you are not teaching anyone, how can you be a teacher? If you are not leading some followers, how can you be called leader? So our identities, our designations, and our positions are dependent on the existence of other people in this world. I cannot accomplish anything without the support of 10 people, 100 people. So, in short, how to make inversely proportional? In short, one should do some honest introspection. Honest introspection, not some biased introspection, honest introspection. That one should honestly introspect how my life is dependent on so many people in 100 different ways. To eat food, we are depending on farmers. We are dependent on cooks. To wear clothes, we are dependent on so many, cloth merchants and that industry, right? And to use our gadgets, we are dependent on so many technologists, right? And to have our livelihood, we are dependent on so many people around us. And ultimately, we are dependent on the nature. Ultimately, we are dependent on God. So when we understand our life of dependency on so many people around us, so many things around us, then naturally we should become humble. Let me conclude with one small statement. This Sanskrit words for knowledge, jnana, right? Jnana, and Sanskrit word for humility, vinaya. Sanskrit word for ego, ahankar. Ahankar, vinaya, jnana. Let's play with these three words. Vinaya plus jnana leads to vijnana. Ahankar plus jnana leads to ajnana. Means, when knowledge is accompanied by humility, it leads to realization. But when the same knowledge is accompanied by arrogance, it leads to ignorance. It is ignorance. Knowledge plus arrogance equal to ignorance. Knowledge plus humility is equal to realization. So all these leaders who may think that we have so much knowledge about technology or so we have so much experience, we have position, power, influence, money, manpower, resources, etc. They need to have some humility to understand, think that their current position or influence is dependent on 100 other factors. With humility, they need to acknowledge all of them. Then naturally they will be grounded. Does it make sense?
Thank you so much. I think it has been a very engaging morning. I think out there, we've been here for like almost 2 to 2.5 hours. I thank everybody for attending. We covered a wide range of topics. I remember one line we told some music. No, so basically, Prabhu talked about one fundamental thing. He said that if you keep purpose in front, the profit will follow. So this applies to profit doesn't mean just monetary profit. So what reference to everything. There is a profit in terms of peace, profit in terms of relationship fulfillment. So and the way he covered the range of aspects on purpose. So we are very grateful for that you covered such a wide topic, and I think we had very wonderful questions starting from how we deal with someone who is not so proactive or procrastinating, or talking about how we deal with people who are not being appreciative, even though there are genuine people out there who are out there to give us knowledge to it. Just that our incompetence, our bias, our reticence, which is actually pulling us down. So I think let's take inspiration from one especially on how we should look forward. So receiving the knowledge and taking this topic of purposeful leadership. As I said, everybody of us are leaders. So I would like to express a word of thanks to Gauranga Darshan who stood out trying to lead in the almost 2.5 hours. He is also here for a few more programs. If you're inspired and want to attend some more programs from him today, I think a couple of sessions, you can reach out to me and we have some sessions tomorrow as well. We'll be happy to give you details and join us. The round of applause for Gauranga Darshan for women. We'd also like to thank Amitji, very, very accomplished social member.
Even I would like to thank Amitji for framing such intelligent, well thought out questions and asking and taking notes in the sessions. So that shows his humility and his personal nature. He is not like randomly asking any questions. He is well prepared. So thank you so much. Thanks to all of you and especially Rajivji for inviting and inviting me here.
The person it utmost honestly, when it says that can we have spiritual leaders part of the board of directors or even as a formal advisor? So that's something which takes a lot of experience in terms of reaching out, making those arrangements. So a lot of thanks for that as well. And this morning wouldn't have been a success without great participation, the eager listeners to see here this morning. I think all of us would sort of acknowledge that a speaker actually gets the flow of thought, or even revelation or realization come because the leader is the audience. So I think you play such a pivotal part to this morning, taking our time to be here for almost 2.5 hours on something which is like multi-talented morning. We have all kinds of engagement. So round of thanks to everyone of us here who come together. And then we call upon Raji to give a small publicity for the participation.